Okay, I know that like the big part of episode 28 of Apothecary Diaries is about the grandma, which yeah, totally seen that coming. The madam's gonna be the one that was like this great dancer from back in the day. We all knew it was coming. I'm not really sure why they didn't just have her go. Like they're looking for her. They know who it is. Just send her. Like, is the expectation here is they're gonna recreate this goddess of dancing and whatnot and send it to them and they're gonna accept it? I don't know. I think in the end, what's going to turn into is they're going to go through this entire trouble of dressing up Jinshi to send him out to the envoys, and then they're going to go, that's not who we're looking for. They're too young. Where's the actual dancer? Like, just give a madam. And I know in the end that's what it's going to turn into. They just want to talk to her. Like, I don't think they want an actual dance. They might end up turning in that whole thing there, but no, like, what is Goshen cooking? I mean, there's a side of me that's like, am I missing something? Like, it seems like Maomao is assuming it's Goshen's kids. Like, there's a possibility there's a connection there. I don't think they've mentioned any other twins in the storyline, or at least people that look, very similar to each other. I don't know why, but the two envoys look like they're twins, even though they're cousins. But I don't know what Goshen's cooking there. It seems like Maomao is kind of implying the idea that it might not necessarily be the idea that the girls, like, slipped out of there, but more so the idea of a guest or somebody was brought in and they snuck in there. I don't know. It's kind of a massive question mark there. I was hoping it wasn't going to be as simple as using a mirror. It's like one of those kind of annoying things that this series likes to do where it's like, oh, let's introduce this thing where these big elaborate mirrors, massive mirrors, body-sized mirrors, very expensive, very treasured. Do not break them. Oh, by the way, we have this mystery. Oh, use a mirror. Come on, please. We don't have to have it that obvious. I mean, it's almost similar to that whole situation with the first season with the whole like Zelda puzzle where just put the stupid fishbowl on the thing and the light comes through it just like Zelda. This was like the similar thing. We talk a lot about mirrors and then the mirror's the solving thing. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's that simple, but at the same time, my initial thought process, again, not wanting to go the simple idea of it being just a mirror, which I think in that situation doesn't really fit too much logically, just because the idea that there was two different guards and they were in different positions, and Maomao wouldn't have known the elevation of that and how exactly it would work. But I mean, it works in the end, so it's whatever. I was going for something a little more interesting, which is the idea that, yes, possibly one of the two sisters wasn't actually a female. And the idea that they may have decided to assign them to be female. They chose to not have them be known as being male. Or, yeah, it could be intersex or something like that. I was really convinced when they started getting to the story that it was going to be one of them is not necessarily a female. And maybe they forgot about that. Maybe the mother kept it a secret from the father that it was actually a boy because for some weird reason, maybe they wanted to keep having children and the man wanted a boy. And so they decided to keep it from him that it was actually a son. I don't know, something like that. I figured it was going to be something like that, but it, again, turned into, we introduced mirrors, so let's talk about mirrors. And the mirrors to solve. It's fine, but I'm really kind of curious what it's going to end up being that he's talking about. By the way, sorry that I'm talking really weird because I'm sick right now. So like it's like that whole aspect, I'm all clogged up, so I don't really hear myself properly. Anyways, I'm curious what Goshon is actually looking into here. And that usually is what it turns into, is that Goshon has heard of something, and he's going to Maomao and trying to present it to her to get answers, but not wanting to specify who he's talking about, because she doesn't need to be involved with the bigger, grander story, or at least she doesn't need to be in the know as about who he's talking about. Like, this might be an official or something like that. I think she believes that it's Goshun's children. And again, the fact that she starts to kind of dig into it more before stopping herself in the idea of there's something else here. I don't think it's necessarily just that one of these kids just snuck out at night. Yeah, it could be that they used to go out at night. She fell in love with somebody. Then the father got him more locked up. And then at that point, they had to figure out how to sneak out in order for her to keep rendezvousing with this guy that she met out on the streets that she wants to be with, that she fell in love with. Maomao's kind of going, I think it's something probably more than that. And then she brings up specifically the idea of sometimes spies are brought in as guests. And I'm like, that seems like a really weird stretch to kind of go there in the idea of, oh, well, there's also this. Now, again, tying it to the mirror specifically from the West, this could be an idea that this sounds like this is a very predominant family whoever these girls are, whoever's daughter they are, this is a well-off to do family because, again, they're doing embroidery as a hobby. And then, yes, they would probably have access to a mirror. These large-sized mirrors that you would need in order to pull this off would probably be from the West. Are they implying the idea of this somehow being connected with the envoys coming in from the West? Specifically talking about, again, the large mirrors and the idea of somebody coming in to see if they're a spy, bringing them in as a guest. And again, one of them apparently seeing the daughter. I don't know. It's like, what are we cooking here? I guess we can eventually get into exactly who they're talking about there, but nothing for right now. I don't know if it was purposely done, but it does look like when Maomao was talking, or at least when Maomao is thinking about the two envoys, in her mind, she pictures them the same as she pictures the two daughters that Goshun's talking about. Her example girls that she's putting in her mind, they look the same. I don't know if that was purposely done, if they're actually implying the idea that these two envoys have a similar situation, or he could have been talking about them. I don't think that's the case. Again, I think that's really just how Maomao is envisioning them. Now, the oddity about the whole story itself was the fact that Goshun says the daughter said that they were carrying a child of an immortal. That seems like an oddity there. That kind of leads me to believe that it is probably a case where it wasn't necessarily they were sneaking out, that somebody snuck in, because I can see somebody coming in there and tricking them, claiming that they are some sort of immortal or something like that came in there to grant them a child or whatever. Like, again, a guest that was brought in, that snuck in there, deceived the sisters, claimed they were something they weren't, just to, again, have their way with them. But anyways, that we'll see where that goes. Again, there's a side of me that almost wonders if maybe because I'm sick, maybe I'm just completely forgetting who Goshun could be talking about. I don't know that it's going to be his daughters, but I guess it could be, but we'll see. But again, I was a little bit bummed that it was Samir. It's like, why do we have to bring up the mirror and go right into that? But anyways, during that whole thing, she ended up getting something. She didn't get her ox visor, but she got some intestines from a bear, or gallbladder from a bear. She's super excited about that. I like how she's like, I shouldn't really be thinking about this too much because it's going to get to something that I probably shouldn't get involved with. It's okay. I got this now. She's super excited. What can I make this into? It kind of implies the idea that Jinshi's like just, going overdrive trying to find what he's actually looking for. He's trying desperately to find what she wants. But no, that's when we get to the envoys himself. We finally find out that the reason that they're there is because they're trying to build trading with them. And apparently these two envoys with the caravan itself seems like they're really, really into the idea of finding the beautiful woman that sheds tears of pearls, which, again, the moment that they were talking about the idea that they came there like 50 years ago, I'm like, it's going to be Madam. It's going to be the Madam from the house. It's totally going to be her. Sure enough, it cuts over and she just puffing her little smoke. But no, again, the moment that they brought that up, my massive question mark here was like, why not just go get the Madam and bring them to the envoy? The envoys were talking about the idea that when they were talking to the grandfather always talked about the story when they went over there and they had this little festival, this ceremony for them, and this beautiful lady danced on the stage. And their whole thing here, coming here, is to go, we want to meet them. We want to meet this goddess of beauty that sheds tears of pearls. And Jinshi's answer is to try to find somebody beautiful to give to them. And they keep denying everybody. And specifically, it's two females. My thought process there is like, I don't know they want to sleep with somebody. I think they just want to meet this beautiful woman that their grandfather talked about. That this goddess that shed tears of pearls. They're going to know that she's old. Like, I would assume I guess the idea there is that they're looking for a myth. Like, Jinshi believes they're looking for this mystical creature that's going to be youthful forever and dance on the stage for them. It seems like that's the direction they're going. Like, they want to go as far as to dress up Jinshi. Maomao wants to. They want to go so far as to have Maomao dress up Jinshi so that they could dance before them because they're looking for this tall beauty. But it's like, I think they just want to talk to her. Again, my assumption that's going to go is that they're going to get Jinshi all dressed up, have him up on that stage, and they're going to go, that was beautiful, but I don't think that's what we're looking for. And then they're going to bring in the Madam, and they're going to go, yeah, we want to talk to her. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But no, the story behind the Madam was actually very interesting because it actually gave us quite a bit of look into the origins of the actual empire itself. Like, going to the point where, yes, this place used to be ruins. they first came in there. They didn't even have a castle set up before they had to bring guests in. So they decided to like take this area over here of these ruins where ceremonies were done, set it up for this one little ceremony to have the guests come in there. And then she's over here. She's brought in because she's this tall beauty. Again, I like this kind of insights into like the history of the entire nation itself. Just bringing her in there. She's trying to get everything set up perfectly, but it's like the venue is like just so makeshift. Like, again, it's just like literally just a platform. There's insects everywhere. It's not like a sectioned off area. So they have to go out there and like hand pick all the insects off of the leaves. And then she's like getting sabotaged by these jealous ladies. And she just goes out there and dances. I was like, that's pretty cool. That was a pretty cool little story there, despite everything that was kind of working against her. She's one of the best. They brought her out there. She's this tall beauty. I'm kind of curious what they meant by the falling pearls, because I don't think they actually specified. My assumption is that they're going to be moths. Like there was moths in the fire and she was waving her, clothing around and the moths were hitting the flames and burning down. So they were dropping like little glittering lights. Other than that, I mean, they were talking about the idea of it being an orchard. And I was kind of wondering if possibly there was some kind of fruit in the trees nearby, but it seems like they cleared the path there. Like this is this one little platform that doesn't have any trees. It could be fireflies, I guess. I don't know if that would necessarily have the same effect, because fireflies are usually they're usually greenish, but it wouldn't be a falling motion. They're kind of flash lights. I wouldn't necessarily see it being lights coming down. I think it's probably the moths burning in the flames, which I'm not sure why they would get that impression other than just like the beauty of her in the performance. They just kind of seen it that way. I like how Maomao was kind of seeing that, yeah, technically the madam doesn't really necessarily puff things up. Like she's a very objective person. So the way that she's explaining it actually does make sense. She's not gloating. She's not creating some sort of fantasy out of it. This is what happened. It was a crappy situation. I had this crappy venue. I went through all this effort. I put this together. I nailed it. I went out there and I nailed it. But obviously Maomao's questioning, like, why did this envoy that came there before, this guest that came there before, why are they puffing this up so much? Is this her usual work? Why do they call her a goddess? I mean, it seems like that is sort of implying the idea that they may have had like burning incense or something like that was creating an hallucination. I kind of wonder if maybe they had something that was nearby that was in the forest or that area that was burning, that was creating some sort of hallucination. Either way, again, I just don't understand why they don't just have Madam go in there. Now, the scary thing is that if they decide to actually bring Jinchi in there and they're actually just looking for this kind of, again, mythological creature that is a goddess that is going to be forever youthful, I kind of wonder if that whole bringing up the idea of like inter-country relationships or marriages might be this idea that they bring Jinchi out there, he actually blows them away, and they decide they want to marry Jinchi. And that's going to cause a huge problem. Again, I think they're going to like his dance, but then they're just going to be like, where's this lady? She's old. And, that's pretty much the episode. I mean, we had a little brief shot at the very end. I'm starting to question those little brief shots at the very end of the episode, because I went to like great details of wondering what was happening with Gyokyon and Honyeon, and that didn't really turn out to be anything. But we did see Lolan meeting with the Emperor, and she was giggling. We had a brief moment of seeing Lolan giggling. Now, I don't think that she was for reals giggling. I don't think that I don't know, she seems too stuck up. She probably was just laughing to entertain the Emperor. She's probably like, oh yeah, look, aren't I cute? Trying to gain favor with him. But we also seen Shishui out there trapping stuff. So I'm guessing she's probably going to be catching stuff for their whole performance with Jinchi. We'll see. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. If you know the source material, I don't need answers to any of this stuff. But again, unless I'm missing something, that's fine. But hope you guys enjoyed. As always, until next time, you'll take care.